A great replacement is taking place right now.
It's like a giant engine of death that consumes life each second to function.
Billions of animals that are raised and slaughtered but never eaten.
Hey, je t'aime, le punk, je t'aime. Et tout ce que je connais de bien, je te le dois. Et chaque fois qu'un squat fermera, je gueulerai comme un putois. Coupe-nous la tête, il en pousse deux. Avec des chicots plus dégueux. Si le punk est mort, je crois qu'on est nécrophile. Nécrophile.
A great replacement is taking place right now and has been spreading for the last century. If you look at the planet's biomass, the natural world has been almost entirely replaced by a biomechanical monstrosity that is the agro-industry. By weight, 96% of all mammals on Earth are now humanity and their livestock. Only 4% are wild animals. If you think of birds, farm poultry, mostly chickens, make up 70% of all birds' biomass on the planet. Only 30% are wild birds. In just the last 50 years, we have caused the decline of 70% of all wildlife populations, from mammals and birds to fish, reptiles, and amphibians. We haven't just expanded, we have overwritten the biosphere with products, animal products, made by humans for profit.
The scale of killing is so vast it's difficult to process. It's like a giant engine of death that consumes life each second to function. Thousands of chickens, thousands of pigs and cows dies each second. And if you add the fish, the death toll reaches a whole other scale. The agro-industry is destroying the complex balance that is the cycle of life. A well-tuned ecosystem that took billions of years to evolve and fine-tune itself. We feed life to a machine of death to satisfy an artificial hunger that can only grow more and more, like a massive cyber Wendigo. And it's not even your choice, it's a few giant monopoly that force the endless increase of slaughtering and consumption, forcing the rest of the globe to follow their steps or die. In the US alone, just 4 companies control 85% of the beef market and 70% of the pork market. In Europe, the Mercosur agreement with South America has just been signed. It will create international competition and put out of business multiple local family farms, destroying even more life and the environment in the process. And all of this only for the profit of a few companies and their shareholder, the bourgeoisie. This demonical organism even have a way to deal with individual change, as farmers are actually contract growers who own the debt and the risk, while the corporation owns the animals and the profits. This has led to a mental health crisis, where farmers' suicide rates are significantly higher than the general population.
The agro-industry is a giant cancerous amalgam of flesh and machine that consumes the flesh and parts of living beings, polluting the soil and water in the process. Let's be very clear, we're talking about the agro-industry and not the consumer for a very good reason. It is estimated that roughly 20% of all meat produced globally is wasted or discarded each year. To put that into perspective, this represents the lives of billions of animals that are raised and slaughtered but never eaten. And that's not even with considering that producing 1 kilo of beef can require up to 15,000 liters of water. We have created a system that has physically replaced the wild earth with a biological machine. It breathes. It consumes 80% of our land. It drinks our aquifers dry. And it requires the sacrifice of 2,400 lives every second just to keep the gears turning, all while losing 90% of the energy we feed into it. It's not feeding the world, it is a meat grinder, consuming the planet's future for quarterly dividends. Capitalism is a cancer. The planet is incapable of sustaining endless growth and will only end up destroying everything. As Solarpunk, we want to protect and care for the environment. We value some species more than others. Trees that give edible fruits or that absorb best carbon we pay special attention to. We plan on creating a food forest in this spot of land. Our forest is already filled with chestnut trees and maritime pines. We also have a few strawberry trees, some white and green oaks, some rare hazelnut trees and apple trees. In our region, fig trees, pear trees, olive trees and the white mulberry trees are also quite common. All of those trees produce food for us or our animals. We have goats not only for the purpose of reintroducing a grazing species in a place where they used to live and where their absence for the past century has meant a forest growing wild, tangled and less diverse, increasing the risk of forest fire and the spread of diseases. We also have goats because they are a great livestock. They produce milk and their death brings us meat and leather, also really cool horns. Before living here, dealing with death wasn't easy. I couldn't have imagined killing an animal for its meat myself. Actually, I even was a vegetarian growing up for 3 years. Now, I value life and I value death. When an animal is sick and dies, we identify from what it dies, and if we deem it safe, we consume its body. Sweet here died of the CAEV virus, basically goat's AIDS. This sickness cannot be passed to humans, as it's a different virus than the human AIDS virus. So her meat is safe to eat. We not only consume the meat of animals that died on our farm, sometimes we kill for our meat. We had a violent Billy that started to be a real threat for us and people going on a walk in the forest. So we had to deal with him. Then we consumed his meat and conserved some to make ham. Our goal would be to be killing every meat we consume, rather than buying it. Keep in mind that we have dogs, and we feed meat to our dogs. Actually, we have really great butchers that slaughter animals ethically. Animals that grow in our region and that live outside in pastures. They give us meat leftovers for our dogs for free. And Tommy is a big 50-kilo boy, so he eats a lot of meats. And we basically feed him with free meat leftovers all the time. So we like to buy the meat for us when we go get leftovers twice a week for our dogs, because we want to support their business. But we do not eat meat every day. We fast twice a week and we try to respect the no-meat Mondays. Don't let you be depressed. This is a cycle of life. Death will come for us all, but life finds a way. Europe has been mostly pastoral and fields for a few centuries. So what would bringing back nature and a healthy ecosystem here look like? Before the expansion of the Roman Empire, the Celtic peoples lived in primordial forests that functioned somewhat like food forests, meaning they were cared for by humans despite being able to sustain themselves on their own. Not like a vegetable garden. Now, France has no longer any primordial forest. Is all our nature fake then? We often forget that humans are part of nature and leave a big impact on it. But this doesn't have to be a bad thing. If we find our place in the ecosystem, we can bring the balance back. We could stop the catastrophic collapse of the environment. We could stop the capitalist apocalypse. If we could just bring ourselves back to our place as predators, hunters, but also as growers, caretakers, protectors. History has proven times and times again that when nomad native populations are driven to extinction or absorbed by modern society, it causes a fundamental ecological collapse. This challenges the idea that nature is better off without humans. Many ecosystems have been shaped by humans over millennia, like here in France. According to Stepanov's books Attachement, Enquête sur nos liens au-delà de l'humain, published in 2024, and his research on Siberian and indigenous group, the environment is not a background, but a socio-ecosystem, where humans often function as a keystone species. Without humans, other species interact less with each other, leading to a decrease in diversity. The ecological collapse brought by separating humans from nature is characterized by the transition from dense networks to spread networks. Humans are one of the only species to interact with so many other species. When humans are a part of a healthy ecosystem, their interactions with other species increases those species' interaction with each other. When we remove humans from this ecosystem, many species stop interacting with each other, destroying the balance of nature. So, one advice: get your ass back in nature, go touch some grass. It will help both your mental health and the planet. And go hug a tree. Respect the trees. They're your true goddesses. They create the oxygen you breathe, they absorb the carbon you emit, they produce your food, they purify your water. Their corpse brings you shelter and warmth in the winter. You think humans are badasses by hijacking all of the animal kingdom? Well, animals are about only 0.5% of the global Earth's biomass. Plants are at 8%. So, picture this. Instead of having the guilt of putting billions of animals through hell in the name of a collective madness, you could enjoy living blissfully in nature with herds of animals living freely and enjoying life on Earth. You would still get to eat meat if you want, you just have to kill it or wait for its death.
Tu tournes pas rond, mais moi j'avoue j'adore ça, te voir tracer ta route à l'arrache en zigzag. Ils font pitié tous ces morts d'eau douce. Moi j'avoue j'adore ça quand tu fais des vagues.